You may never see me again. But I must leave you one last task.
There are lots of people in this production that I care about, and honestly, I was really scared to do this review. I'm not gonna lie about that.
You must feel no guilt in doing what you have to do. The past must die to truly serve the future.
Okay, guys, I'm so sorry, but I could not resist. That was too much fun to do. Okay, but let's get into the review. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel where we love African cinema and we discuss and analyze film from that place. Today we're reviewing The Black Book, a highly anticipated grisly crime thriller. That's how it's described on Netflix, where it's just been released, it's doing numbers. And this film is specifically unique because it is, I think, the first film that has been almost 100% funded by the Nigerian tech industry. This movie, The Black Book, has a 124-minute runtime. It is written by Editi Effiong and Bunmi Ajakaiye. I mostly know Bunmi as a director. We worked together on a project, The Smart Money Woman, which I was a scriptwriter on. This movie, so it's written by Bunmi, and I think she also co-wrote Editi's first film, Up North. This movie is directed by Editi Effiong, and congratulations, Editi, on your feature directorial debut. And I make that distinction because he does have a short film which he had directed before. I think it's called Fishburne, and if I find it here on YouTube, I'll put a link in the description. This movie is produced by Editi Effiong and Kemi Lala Akindoju. Here are the characters and the actors who play them. RMD plays Mofe-Damijo, the main character. Ajayi-Lycett plays the character of Vic Kalu. Sam Dede is Angel. Alex Osifo, General Issa. Olumide Oworu plays RMD's son, Damilola. Kelechi Udegbe is Officer Bayomi. Ikechukwu Onukanu is the Deputy Commissioner. Taiwo Ajayi-Lycett is the editor of whatever paper that is. Shafi Bello is Big Daddy. Ireti Doyle is the commissioner. Patrick Doyle is Senator Dikpo, and I had a moment of amusement where I was like, were they still married back then? Bimbo Akintola is Professor Craig. Norbert Young is Mr. Craig. Bimbo Manuel, Father Omotosho, Reverend Father Omotosho. Femi Branch is the young General Issa. Denola Gray is Jesu. Funky Malam came in at the tail end as Tanko. Asabe Malaki Baraka and Boki Ofodile as Chichi. Who is the babe with the tight gap? I appreciate so much seeing just the veterans of industry here, and also this movie features a long list of people who just can do no wrong in my eyes, okay? Now, for the synopsis of this movie, on Netflix is described this way. In this grisly thriller, a bereaved man pursues vigilante justice for his son. And on IMDb, it says, after his son is framed for a kidnapping, a bereaved Deacon takes justice into his own hands and fights a corrupt police gang to absolve him. In these two descriptions, it mentions justice. Hold on to that today. Keep that in mind. Now, the summary of the plot. So this movie is about a retired military officer, Mofe-Damijo, the character played by RMD, who tries to just live his quiet life in peace and raise his only child, Damilola, after it's suggested that he lost his wife 2 years before, I think. But then tragedy strikes when his son is wrongfully assassinated, and this forces Paul out of retirement. First, he tries to recover his son's body and clear his name, and then facing hostility from all quarters, the police, the military antagonists, the media, even the public, he finds allyship in a young journalist, and that's the character, what's her name, Vic Kalu, that is played by Ajayi-Lycett. But this Ajayi-Lycett, this Vic Kalu, her identity, which is revealed later, serves as ongoing conflict for Mofe-Damijo. So working together, they try to deter these forces of antagonism that are ranged against him/them. The stakes continue to increase, as do his missions, from clearing his son's name to bringing down corrupt institutions and the people behind them, from finding a book to protecting this girl, and so on and so on. This film features themes of and motives of grief, justice, vengeance, forgiveness, faith and personal convictions, crime and corruption on all levels. Now we're going to get into the review in a second, but before we do, let me ask you a favor. Guys, please, it means everything to me when you click that subscribe button and you like and you comment and you share. It doesn't take very much from you. It doesn't cost you anything, especially the subscribe bit. Don't be a demon. Like, don't enjoy my reviews and then just go away. Please, I'm new to this channel. I've only been here a month. I need all your support if you like my videos. So please help me. Subscribe to my channel. Okay, thank you. Now let's get into the review. What worked? What did we love? What did I love? There's so much about this movie to recommend, starting with the thing just everyone cannot get over, which is the scale. Like, the scale of this production is gargantuan. Okay, like everyone's just blown away by that, myself inclusive. My absolute favorite thing about this movie is the soundtrack. Listen, since I watched this movie, I've had Violation by Jesse Jacks and Burna playing on repeat. They're not going. I can't even sing it, but you know, just going. By Chrissy Esienigbo. Love that. And then my absolute favorite, I think, was when the instrumentals for Glory, Glory, Hallelujah were playing in one of the opening scenes, and that really had me in my feelings because, first of all, the way it was synced with the announcement, the radio announcement about the identity of the kidnapper. So they used that to underscore that dialogue. And then in the following scene, you know, with the workman at that site, you know, that was shot almost like a musical with this same. I really liked it. I thought that was very creative, and it looked like they were really having fun doing that. At least that's how it seemed to me. The score was okay. Sound editing was very, very competently done in this movie. Now, one of the first best things I noticed about this movie was the voiceover. The minute this movie started and I heard, "You may never see me again. The past must die to truly serve the future," I was like, "Oshe, Nollywood, have we solved? Are we in the process of solving our voiceover problems?" Because voiceovers suck in our movies. I don't know why. There's just something about voiceover acting that just never sounds right, you know. So this gave me a real thrill when this movie opened and I heard that voice and I was like, holy shit, we're doing it, you know. So I love that. A lot of the cinematography was good, you know, or I'll just say it was competent, you know, because I don't know that I will say there were that many memorable shots, but there were many beautiful shots, that's for sure. Art direction and production design in this movie was just fantastic. Okay, like the set design was great. The interior scenes of like people's homes, people's lived spaces, they felt very authentic and had like a very lived in vibe to them. Just blessings on the memory of Pat Nebo. He was a real gem to this industry, and it shows so much. I'm glad that this movie is doing what it's doing because it's such a huge tribute to him, you know. I enjoyed a lot of the shots in this movie, especially establishing shots of Lagos. I mean, this takes me right into my next point, which is locations. See, listen, one thing Editi will do is find the most difficult locations to shoot in and conquer it. It's like this is one way that he likes to stretch and challenge himself. Like the locations, I mean, from Marina to port area of Lagos to Lagos inner city, Tinubu Square, Civic Center, the National Theatre, the Cathedral Church of Christ, and then all the way to northern Nigeria. Let me just say this: Editi is from the south, but sometimes I'm like, this man buried his umbilical cord in the in the north. Okay, he really likes to. I mean, I remember also I had the same feeling when I watched Up North, where I was like, this had to have been so challenging to have shot. And then he doesn't just pick one big location to conquer. It's like in the same movie, several. I mean, look at the scale, look at the locations. It was beautiful. The sheer volume and range and variety of the locations, and they consistently set the tone of the grittiness of this world that this movie inhabited. And then when we got to the north, the rugged terrain, sometimes it felt to me like I was playing Uncharted. I enjoyed that so much. So yes, location was such a huge deal in this movie. And even just money aside, because some people might think, oh yeah, I had a lot of money. There's just something like, there's just a difficulty of shooting in certain kinds of places, even if you have all the money in the world, and then this was also shot during the pandemic, which was its own different set of complications, but let's leave that. The acting was okay for the most part. RMDD, I was very happy to see him in a different role from his embodiment of a grieving father with a hardened past. It was very believable. His fighting scenes were good. They were good enough for what he was in the story. They were very believable. My only growls is that there were too few. That would be my only complaint. Ajakaiye, she's a terrific actress. I really like her, and in this particular film I enjoyed her in this role of an unassuming, vulnerable journalist. She was so cute, like she was slightly incompetent as a journalist, but I felt like there was something very childlike about her in this film. She didn't try to be like a badass or anything, and that was the thing I liked the most. She really came across as what she was, just someone who's caught in the crossfires of this very greedy world that she found herself in, trying to chase this story and justice. And then, of course, Shafi Bello is here, and in my eyes, she can do no wrong. For most of the cast, though, it seemed to me like they were playing roles that we've seen them in many times before. I've seen Sam Dede in this role before. I've seen Kelechi Udegbe in this role before. I've seen, what's his name? Honestly, most of them, name any name, I'll tell you a movie that I've seen them be exactly. Ajayi-Lycett, love her, but, same person. So, just the typecasting was wild. That's what I'll say. Now, I want to highlight Kelechi Udegbe in particular. Please, I need someone to give this man a leading role, okay? Make him a leading man. He's a good-looking man. He's a remarkable actor. And I want to praise his management specifically because this man is in every winning film. He's in all the way he picks roles. It needs to be studied. So I just wanted to say that. Then beyond the cast and the acting and all of that, let me applaud this film for raising the question of spirituality and personal conviction in the face of trauma. That's something I like that was done. I also liked how this movie unequivocally tied the government to the drug trade. Everything that is bad in this country, in Nigeria, from drugs, arms deals and arms trade, illegal mining and oil bunkering, money laundering, thuggery, every bad thing, government hand inside. You know what I mean? So I appreciate how culturally significant this movie is in the themes that it tackles. I enjoyed how certain scenes were enacted for emotional impact. That scene where the kid got killed, it was such a gut punch for me. There were too few of those, but when it was done very well. This movie highlighting the difficulty, how difficult and frustrating it is for the common person to interact with the Nigerian police. I enjoyed the simplicity of the premise of this movie and the minimalism in some aspects of the storytelling. So let me give you some examples. When the taxi driver came to the church to inform Polydima of what had happened, a less competent storyteller would have taken us through the whole drama of, I was waiting for my son, he was supposed to meet me here, where is he, we'll go home, we can't find him, and then all of that, but just short-circuited that, and also made a commentary about how small and close-knit this community is around that area, because he knew exactly where to go, and also the influence of Polydima within his community. Now, the scene where Polydima was offered $1 million to walk away was a very clear statement on his values, and I appreciated how such a big point was made with so little. A final thing that I appreciated about this movie was the mapping out of the battle plan, and I mean the extraction plan. One of the things I find missing in most of our action films is things start happening, they don't lay out the plan. So if you don't lay out the plan, we're not able to follow. That's why a lot of times we just see action just happening like that, and we're not sure if it's going well or not. But this movie, at least for that particular segment, we knew what they were intending and if it was going according to plan. Now, what did not work in this movie? The first thing that bugged me immediately was how weirdly the question of belief versus agnosticism was handled. It bothered me first for personal reasons. That whole nonsense, honestly, let me just say it as it is, nonsense conversation about Jesus Christ as Santa Claus or whatever. But the thing that bothered me as far as the story was how it took away empathy from a character that so sorely needed empathy. we know how Nigerians think, and they're the core audience for this movie. A lot of people, religious people, not just Nigerians in general, really believe that if you deny the existence of God, as he was doing so blatantly, whatever befalls you, you kind of had it coming. And this is a character that we saw, he was going to die. We needed to feel for him, not feel like, well, he had it coming. Is he not the one who just, so I don't know, that kind of like, it was so unnecessary. It was so egregious because it was unnecessary. That whole conversation did not need to happen. Action scenes were often like muddied and difficult to follow. The amount of shooting versus the damage, like, I'm sorry, it was just completely improbable and unrealistic. Character development, backstories, history, character motivations, all of these could have been clearer and done better. I thought Denola Gray's character, Jesus, was wasted. He was brought in with so much pizzazz and aplomb and a long CV. He was supposed to do more. He had a motorcycle. We never see him ride it. He killed people. We never see him do. He supposed to be such a badass. We never saw him do any of that. And then they now killed him in such an ignoble way, and he did not even have the dignity of a close-up. How many of you do like this? For the number of you that had to like rewind and zoom in and check if that was really him when he died. I was like, what? They just killed him like that, very cheap, so I did not love that. Now let's go to story / plot problems. The first thing that struck me was the coincidences. The first one for me was, of all the people in Lagos, Polydima's son, well, it was his son. Okay, fine, I'll take that. And then the same Polydima again, the journalist turned out to be the daughter of the woman he killed. Again, you're starting to like really stress me out with that. And then the final one was the way she got the flash drive. That one was more story convenience than coincidence. Those three things coming together in this one story, I did not love that. I'm not sure at what point exactly Polydima made the critical decision. That was such a critical turning point for a character to decide to go back to embrace his past. And some people say it was the time when he stood and looked at the church, and the cross and all of that. And I buy that to an extent, but it should, if that was the point, it should have raised a lot of interesting like philosophical questions about the last 24 years and his beliefs. How long has he even been a Christian? How long has he, when we met him, he was preaching about forgiveness and saying essentially that whatever you've done, if you confess and all the things, your slate is wiped clean. Did he or did he not believe it? Because if he believed it, how is it then that the moment something happened to him, his son died, his fallback was, this is my punishment for all the things, So I don't know, but it just felt to me like I did not know when exactly he made that very critical decision. And then there were so many missed opportunities to deepen or elevate story and conflict. More could have been done with the decades-old rivalry between Angel and Paul. From what we saw, Angel had every reason to have been carrying like a 20-something year grievance against Paul. But we did not see that really utilized. And rivalry is such a powerful element in story, right? I feel like there could have been more foreshadowing about Paul's relationship with Vikalu before the big reveal. They saved it too much for the reveal that by the time it was done, it was not impactful. There were a lot of lost opportunities to heighten emotional stakes in this movie. I didn't feel anything, for instance, when that baby was killed, because first of all, you're about to kill a baby and the baby's dad, did you see how he was in that scene? I was like, I don't know if it was the acting, the directing, the story, the writing, everything, I don't know what, but that scene did not work. My biggest comment is that I ultimately did not care about the outcomes in this movie. I did not care if Polydima got his son's body back. I did not care about if he got justice or he cleared his son's name. I did not care about if the black book was found or whatever it was. I did not care about if people were punished. I really did not care about any of the outcomes that this movie pursued. And so I had to start interrogating why. And here are some of the reasons. The first is the shifting sands of motivation. It got too complicated. There were too many things that were being chased as far as the character's motivation. Things can happen that drive plot forward, but as far as the character's central, like most important, it has to stay like a lodestar we have to always be aware that this is the thing that this person is after. And so that's the only way that we get satisfaction at the end when it happens, or doesn't, as the case may be. But we have to know what it is. He was chasing too many things. First, a father, he wants to avenge his son, but no, he's accepted that his son's death is his punishment. He doesn't want vengeance or even justice. He just wants his son's body back and a confession, and oh, by the way, also clear his name. I'm like, it's starting to get watered down now. And then he wants to protect this girl for whatever reason, which of course we find out later when we no longer care. And then he wants to bring this organization down, this criminal organization or whatever it is that he was a part of. And that brings me to the next thing. A father, an innocent man, you guys come and kill his child. I'm like, I'm with him. We must get justice for this man. He was minding his business, being a deacon. But then, oh wait, this is a father who has also killed other fathers, other mothers, other daughters, other sons. And at that point, I'm starting to give him bombastic side eye, like, Oga, are you sure you will not just take your L and go? Like, now that I know who you are in your past, I'm sorry, I don't care. Why is your son's death special? And Angel called him out on that, and the movie did not tackle that question at all. You know what you've done. So why are you saying that your son is more important than all? I mean, yeah, it was the inciting incident, but knowing now who he is, I don't really care about justice for him and his son and all the things, because of all the things that he has done. He should have just rested, and then there will be no movie. Sorry. There was not enough to establish the father-son relationship. I believe that more could also have been done with the relationship between General Issa and Paul. The general was clearly biased in Paul's favor, you know, otherwise he would not have let him walk away after. Don't tell me, please, when Big Daddy said he let you walk away because you gave him the book. I'm sorry. I was like, let's pretend we did not hear that. So the only explanation was he actually was biased. Because even Angel said it. He said he only cared about you, his precious son. And I was like, oh, so the general had a soft spot for him. But we didn't really see that, and it would have done so much for the story. I have some things that I would not say that the bad exactly, but more like questions and things that left me like confused. Let me start with the inciting incident of this movie, right? We know that it was Polydima's son who died, and that was like the catalyst, but the events leading up to that, why was the senator's son in charge of the kidnapping in the first place? If you start unpacking that whole kidnapping, just that whole explanation of events that led up to Polydima's son getting killed, it falls apart. Now, this Vikalu, she did all this research and she did not know who Polydima was. A man that, I mean, after we got this exposition.
Polydima, the most dangerous man in this country. 23 assassinations.
And she still did not know who he was. We all had research, and she's been following this story for this entire time. Why is the simple fix here would have been that he was living under a different identity. Then as far as Polydima himself, at what point did he know who Vikalu was, right? Because he has her picture there and whatever it is, he has this interaction with the priest. So I want to assume that he knows who she is. He probably recognizes her, like he must have recognized her even the moment he saw her. So when he, for instance, he made the statement that he said, don't pretend that this story means more to you than just a career advancement. I mean, he knew he was lying then, right? Because who are these women in hijabs? You know, like, who are the hijab women? I don't know. Who is Big Daddy in the world? Not in this story. We know what they did or she did in this story, but who are these people as they exist in the world? I had no idea. Then who authored the Black Book? We heard Paul state that he did. However, we saw him take it from Vikalu, and then from her mom. And then when Vikalu herself opened it at the end, whatever was written there was in the mom's like words. So again, who authored this Black Book? I don't know. And then did the Black Book even matter? Did it matter? Listen, in the context of Nigeria, I admire the idealism of stories like this, these big stories about bringing down one critical corrupt figure with the suggestion that that would somehow solve one big corruption or whatever problem. And I know that film should be aspirational, right? I know that. However, when you think about some of these things in the context of like just the country that we're in, and the fact that even a book like this really would make no difference, there's just a kind of meaninglessness and futility to the entire thing, that just because we know that corruption like of this magnitude is a hydra-headed monster, and you cut off one head, it pops, another pops up, and so on. So just, I don't know, I didn't feel any kind of like satisfaction that, I don't know. A recurring refrain in this movie was the past must die to truly serve the future. But did the past die? Can we say that the past died? Like all the things, the end of the movie, how the different people, for instance, do I believe that Senator Craig would really, what do I think she's going to do to Angel? I don't even know her enough to know what she's capable of, I don't know really what happened to the general. I guess he gets arrested in this Nigeria. He'll be out the next day. I don't know. I don't know when Vikalu went back to her editor and, did aggro and everything and said, hey, and was rude. So that's the justice. In the end, I don't feel like anything changed. The past is still very, very much present in this present and going with us into the future as far as how this movie ended. So in conclusion, I'd like to say that I think this movie started out okay, a simple storyline that, we could really buy into, a sympathetic premise, a grieving father, universal story, love it. But then it started to take on more and more. The story, in trying to be complex, ended up being just complicated and convoluted. A lot of heart was sacrificed for muscle in this movie. This movie was such a muscular movie, which I loved, but opportunities for like emotional, listen, no matter how high octane a movie is, I die on the hill that the stakes will always be about the emotional currency over action sequences and tough talking. This movie was a serious film, but it was completely without humor. Like, I don't think the closest to humor that I felt in this, and by the way, Vikalu and I have the same tattoo, both about the day that a very significant person in our lives died. Can you see my tattoo? This was a very so the closest to humor that this movie had was when the general was bitch slapping Senator Dikpo. That killed me. So I wish also that because Edimma's character was so severe, I wish that they had used Vikalu's character to be like a foil to his character. She could have been playful. She could have been like just somebody different. Everybody was so fucking serious in this movie. I was like, God, this is a serious movie. And I know Editi, he's a playful person. I mean, he's serious, but and I wanted to say this though. I wanted to say this when I was talking about Editi as a director. I was never on this set, but I know Editi, and I can tell you that one thing that I'm sure about on that set is that he will exact blood from everyone here, but also he would have spoiled them. One thing Editi will do is feed people, get people some nice manicure and pedicure and all of that. If you ever went to Anako Films, I'm talking about his company now, like their office, his staff will tell you. So I wish I was a fly on the wall on this set. So I'm just going to end by saying that I am glad that this movie exists. I really am glad that this movie exists. I see the heart of everyone involved in this, beginning with Editi and just all the way through. There are lots of people in this production that I care about, and honestly, I was really scared to do this review. I'm not gonna lie about that, but it's the job. So I'm really happy with the numbers that it's doing. I'm so glad that this movie is being so well accepted across the country and the world, not just the country, the world. I can only imagine what everyone that was a part of this put in. I think it deserves all the love and accolades that it's getting. The things that were achieved in this production, there are things that elsewhere in the world they have minimal like levels of difficulty, but in Nigeria everything is just a million times harder. And so this movie, just shooting this film, at this level in itself is a miracle, is a phenomenon, is a feat. And what I'd like to see for this movie is honestly to see this story extended into like a series, so there's more time to develop this plot. Okay, that's what I'd really like to see for this movie, because I think a lot was crammed into a 2-hour 4-minute film, and there wasn't enough time to tackle all that this movie was trying to tackle. Do I recommend this movie? Oh, absolutely. With all my heart, I recommend this movie. I'm probably already too late to the party. Everyone's already seen it anyway. But if you haven't and you're one of the skeptics that are still saying, oh, I heard somebody say I watched it for only 5 minutes and I couldn't, I really think it's worth the watch. Please watch it. I recommend it. I think this is a feat in its own right, but also it's a pointer to what is possible within this industry with the right like commitment, craft, and of course good financial backing. Now, if you've enjoyed this review,
I only ask for a day. It's to the one duty I have left. One last journey with my son to bring his body back home.
I know I have asked already, but please don't leave without subscribing to this channel. It will really help me out. It helps me out, okay? This whole time, my mic has been here. Sorry, guys. I'm new to this, okay? So please subscribe to my channel. If you could, would you share? Please share. Like, I'd like to see your comments. You know, let's have a conversation. That's what I like. I want you to know that I value your time here. I value your contributions to this video as well. Thank you so much. And remember, what do I always say? You have the right to an incredible viewing experience. Never settle. Thank you. Bye-bye.